All right, hello and welcome to Swing It and Ding It, an iHeartMedia podcast.
I mean, this is a birdie fest.
It's a Philly show, baby.
Let's go.
All right, welcome into Swing It and Ding It. We are sponsored by Comcast Business, introducing ultimate speed for business, the fastest internet plans yet from Comcast Business, powering possibilities. This is Moose along with Mays and Matthews, and we welcome in one of the best names in golf with one of the best names in golf, Johnny Wunder. Welcome to Swing It and Ding It, Johnny.
Thanks for having me. It's an honor. My one of my writers, Jack Hirsch, I think, is friends with one of you guys. So he was all jacked up that I was coming on a Philadelphia show. So happy to be here.
I love it. I love it. So you made quite a change recently. You know, I love talking to people who do this. You know, in my business in media, Harry's been in it. You know, the stuff that the people that Danielle deals with on a day-to-day basis, right? It's like sometimes we have to make a leap, right? And it's easy to leap from something bad to something good, but right. I think it's harder to leap from something good to something better, maybe, or just as good. So talk about. We'll start there with what you're doing now, and then we'll kind of go backwards.
Yeah. So where do I start? I mean, the new position, I'm now the director of equipment for golf.com, which is obviously a very, very big platform. And, you know, it's different, you know, I'll get into the Callaway gig here in a second, but like, you know, I went from living on a really fun island with, you know, no oversight and kind of, you know, do whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. And, to go into actually having to manage people and manage a business. And, you know, I'm dealing with, instead of just one club company, I'm dealing with, you know, 20 or 25 plus all the apparel companies. And, you know, it's a whole nother ballgame. I was used to it because I was coming from WRX before at Callaway. So I'm used to the media space and how that works politically and business wise. But, you know, coming out of such a Callaway, just blissful haze into, like, I would call the real world. It's been fun. I mean, but you know, at this point I'm 48. Like, I was looking for I'm very ambitious. You know, my ego's probably a little too large for my liking, but you know, I want to do big things. And if somebody hands me a whole platform and says, hey, it's not working correctly and we want you to burn it down and build a new one, a guy like me is like, awesome. Like, let's go. Like, give me a bunch of runway and the ability to sprint as fast as I can. And now you're speaking my language. So here I am. Like, I'm excited.
Can't hear you, D. Let me see if she's. Go ahead, Harry, jump in and then we'll go back, Daniel.
All right. Well, I mean, you know, speaking of the golf.com, coming from Callaway, what is the thing that you're trying to accomplish now that you're at golf.com and a free agent again?
Well, the biggest thing is, and I have to show love and a lot of gratitude to the editorial part of media, right? Like, it's been kind of like the load-bearing wall of golf media, you know, the art of the writers, and I'm a writer, obviously, and I do a lot of that, but that's not my high level of expertise. But you guys, you know, I'd say the best example right now would be like what we saw in the political landscape over the last 6 to 9 months, how new media kind of took over. And the ability to write an article, and, you know, not to say that people are ignoring it, but it's just not how media moves around anymore. And golf.com is a traditional media space, but what they're wanting is to modernize it and make it more social media heavy, bigger audience on YouTube. And so the plans to that are literally just to, you know, to make it way more creator driven, way more, you know, you're going to get used to seeing a lot of faces as opposed to a lot of names attached to an article. So, you know, I look at it like, I always look at through the lens of my kids. I have an 8-year-old and a 12-year-old. How are they going to consume? You know, if I had to start them off today, where am I going to turn them to get information on golf stuff? And a lot of it's going to be YouTube and Instagram. And that's where the world's going. And, you know, the sleeker and faster and better you can do it, you're going to win. And golf.com's demos are very interesting. You know, the .com part of the whole equation, you know, it's still guys my age, maybe skewing a little bit older that still read articles. But, you know, obviously I'm 48. I'm not a kid anymore. And my demographic's starting to go that way. And now I have to satisfy everybody that's in a demo beneath me. And that's all Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube. So hopefully if I do my job in the next year to 18 months, you'll see golf.com, not as a .com, but as a media platform that you go to, where you can pick out a person and go, I like Dylan's videos, or I like Johnny's videos, or I like this person's videos. And that's how I'm ingesting my content. And that's 80% of how you're getting your content from golf.com is through fast moving media that you can see and watch. And, you know, you can get a 1,000-word article in a 90-second video.
D, we still don't have your volume. So sorry. We'll mess around with it and see. I don't know if you want to hop off and hop back in, but Johnny, go back to the Callaway days. I feel like, you know, probably most of our people listening, that's where they really know you from, because, you know, in the beginning of every broadcast, the guys love bringing up your name and talking to you and talking about equipment and what these players were using. So just talk about like your time there and what that was like.
Well, it's funny, like, you know, I kind of have to go back to the beginning of where I started in the golf business. Like, you know, 2018, like this time of the year, February of 2018, I was nobody in the golf space. Like I was a, you know, a featured civilian writer for WRX, you know, writing maybe 5 to 10 articles just for fun and for free. And I was in the film business. And I had just, I had made a movie a year and a half prior. And I was a partner in a film company, but the film business goes up and down financially. And I had 2 young children and I had a girl, I had family support. And I was like, I can't sustain. I have like 2 months of savings left and this thing's going to go south fast. And that was like, you know, it was a snowy day like it is today. And I just sat down and I wrote WRX an email saying that your website sucks. You guys need video. You don't do any social media. Like, I'm the guy, you need to hire me. And kind of just bullied my way in there. And my job there was to produce video content. It wasn't to be on camera. It wasn't to write articles. It was literally, I'm going to come in, I'm going to produce the content shoots and start to build a video platform for them. And within like a month, they were kind of like, well, you know more than we do about equipment and you're 10 times better on camera than everybody else is. So why don't we just make you the face of this thing? And they just kind of shoved me out into the fold. So I kind of became the middle person between the club companies and the website, because at that point, everybody wanted new media. So I'm selling what they want. So, you know, I did that at a pretty high level as a director of content for 2.5 years, you know, almost 3 years. And, you know, during COVID, I really got into the tour space. I had a podcast called The Gear Dive that I would have tour reps on and players and, you know, you name it. There were, you know, I had couples on. I mean, I got so many stories about that podcast, some of the craziness that happened around the podcast, but I really got ingrained into the tour truck ecosystem, like in year 2. And, you know, the club company started taking a look at me that way of like, okay, this is a guy that really understands tour. He understands fitting. He understands how to produce a video and podcast. And at the end of 2020, TaylorMade, Callaway, Cobra, PXG, and one other, I think a PGA Tour, all called literally like in the same 2 weeks.
Wow.
To pull me out of WRX and go be Johnny Wunder, but just be it specifically for that entity. Right. So at the time, Callaway, my old boss, the guy that hired me, is a guy named Jeff Newbarth, who's now the executive producer of all the TGL media that you see. So like you watch it on television, Jeff's the one that's in the control room making it all happen. So it was kind of funny. Once they figured out that TaylorMade was in the running to get me, Callaway got really aggressive. And, you know, I'm not going to go through the whole story, but it was a really funny 24 hours about how he finally got me to sign. And the nice thing that they did for me from day one is they put me out in front. So it's like, okay, we're going to put you in front of Phil Mickelson. We're going to put you in front of Rahm. Like, you're going. Like, you're going to do your thing. We're not going to put any governor on you. You just go. You're going to make a ton of videos. We're going to create a website with your name on it. And you're going to travel the tour in the world and just be Johnny Wunder for Callaway and go nuts. And they gave me carte blanche to kind of do whatever I wanted. and that obviously morphed over the course. It shifted and changed as it went on, but by the end of it, they changed my professional life. I mean, if I do that at any other company, I don't think I have the opportunity to do what I'm doing now, because there would have been a lot of red tape and a lot of, I don't want to say control, but like
oversight.
Oversight. And they were adamant about like, just go do you. If you hit a wall, we'll either knock it down and we'll tell you to go a different direction, but just go.
Awesome.
And they did me a humongous favor. And like, when I'm 65 or 70, if people say like, what was your pivot point in your career? It was Callaway. Like they gave me wings to fly, man. Like, and it was an unbelievable ride, working for Nick McAnally and Chip. And, the cool thing about my job there was I kind of sat in between marketing and tour. So I had I don't want to say I served two masters, but I had two families. I had my marketing family, and then I had my tour family. And, from day one, they, the first month they were kind of like, who the hell is this schmuck? Like on the truck taking videos, like what the hell's going on here? And after a month, they became all my brothers. I'm talking about the plane staff and the truck guys. I mean, it just became my family away from home. And like, it was hard leaving, very hard to say. It took me like a month and a half to finally jump.
Sure. Yeah.
Like there was some tears, and it was hard. I mean, that is my family. It was very, very challenging, but ultimately for my family and where I want to go, going to golf.com was the right situation. So here I am.
Go ahead, D.
We still don't
have.
Well, since you're now a free agent, what's the coolest piece of gear that you've got to try so far?
So far, like I've tried, I'll just kind of go through what I've tried so far quickly. I mean, I've tried all the Ping stuff. I went to Ping, and obviously the nice thing in my function is, when I go to these places now, I know all the reps, so, I kind of get my own spot, and, it's been pretty cool. So I went to Ping when I was in Arizona a couple of weeks ago for the waste management. I went there. I'm really close. Rocco Media, it's like one of my best friends. So he's a big Ping guy. So we went together and we just kind of sat in the, he's so
He is awesome.
I'll tell you an interesting story about him here in a second, but we just went, and my buddy Kenton is the tour fitter for Ping, and he came with his TrackMan and a bunch of clubs, and very impressed with their driver. Their irons are, it's all new to me, right? Like I've been in the Callaway vacuum the whole time. So very impressed with the Ping stuff. Strixon built me a set of irons that I was, dying to hit, and I love their ZXI 7 irons are amazing. Tried Cleveland wedges for the first time in 5 years, which obviously the Cleveland wedges, they're brilliant. TaylorMade fairway woods, which is kind of sacrilegious coming from Callaway. Everybody's freaked out when I started hitting Taylor. Cause before at Callaway, all I played was TaylorMade. Mm-hmm. Like that was, I just hit their stuff the best. So that was fun for me to go back and re-experience some old feels, some stuff that I was used to. I'm trying the lab. I'm still digging into the lab golf thing right now. Sam sent me some putters, so I'm trying to figure that whole thing out. But the next 60 to 90 days for me, a lot of it's just testing stuff, like just refamiliarizing myself with all this stuff. I mean, 'cause it's a lot of stuff, and I'm trying to limit the amount of intake I take, because when everybody found out I was leaving Callaway, the boxes just started showing up in my house like crazy. So I still have 3 boxes sitting in my office that I haven't even touched yet. So I'm getting to it slowly but surely. But so far, I'd say the cool thing, I'm very impressed with the Ping stuff. Like it's very, very interesting. Their driver, their LST driver. Now it's not the fastest. I'll say that right now. Like the Callaway driver that I've been playing is like 2 miles an hour faster, but Ping is known for their stability, and their driver, even their low spin one, it's a brick house, man. He just goes out in front of you all day long. And so now I'm, at 48, I'm like, do I want to hit a bunch of fairways, or do I want to hit nukes? Like where am I? So
a happy medium.
It's been fun.
We were talking a lot about like your inside on golf equipment. You work with, pretty closely with a few tour players too. So who do you think, or who have you seen that's like the most dialed in when it comes to their equipment?
Well, there's different levels of it. So that you have your gear dorks on our, if I'm speaking specifically to like the people that I interact with, like if I'm going to take the Callaway staff, Max Grazerman is an absolute gear dork. Akshay is a gear dork. So like they're pretty dialed in, but they're also seekers. So they're always trying to, if something's not flying right at a certain tournament, sure enough, I'll get a text from Max. Like, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that?
Seekers. See, I usually say
they're
tinkers,
seekers, but that's their way in. Like, so like Charles Howell the third, for example, has been a dear friend of mine for years, and he probably ruined himself. He probably should have 20 wins and a couple of majors at this point, but he is such a seeker, and he would be the first person to tell you that he probably went down 5 or 6 too many rabbit holes to be successful.
Wow.
But that's what he enjoys doing. Like that's his path to golf is the seeking. So, and I can relate to that on multiple levels. Like he's just, and Akshay, Akshay's a happy medium of the two. Max is almost Charles Howell level. Like he loves a good rabbit hole. But then you take the flip side of that and you get somebody like Xander or Rahm that know their equipment well, but they don't, once it works, they don't want to look at anything else. So they get emotionally attached to something. So whereas Max and Akshay will try anything once. If Rombo has something in his bag that works, it better, if you're going to bring him a club, like you better guarantee that it's going to be better than what he's got, because you're going to get 2 swings out of it and he's going to fling it back at you if he doesn't like it. So Xander's kind of the same way. Like, Burns is like that. Like they just, some guys are hard switchers. They just don't like switching equipment. So I'm more endeared, like the guys that I'm friends with on tour that I really love to interact with are the Brysons and the Tommy Fleetwoods and the Max Grazermans and Charles Howells, like guys like that, because they're such club idiots that they, we could sit there and talk about a 7-iron bounce for an hour and a half. And it's like, when you were a kid, it's like talking about, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade for the first time, and you're just nerding out. I mean, it's
and I always wonder too, Johnny, like how those contracts work, right? Maybe you can give us some insight in that, right? 'Cause like someone like that, right, who loves what they have, but then a new driver comes out and you want them to use it. Like, are they obligated to use that, or they're?
No, I mean, there's a nice balance to it. Like, I'll use Rombo, for example. Like when he was a full Callaway staffer, like before the live craziness, the way that it works for him is, I think I don't know the mechanics of the whole deal, but like, just like as an arbitrary example, he's like a 14 club Callaway player and the ball. So, if you're going to spend that much money, you're getting a full bag. The great thing for that was, he doesn't like having a ton of options. Like he just wants to find something that works. So like if he had a great driving year, like for example, like the Epic Speed year when he won the US Open that year, coming off of that year, he drove the piss out of it for a year. Like, and he played the same driver the whole year. So,
wow,
which is rare. Like usually they crack a face or whatever. So like when, by the time you got to September, October with his driver, it was hot as hell. Like if they would have tested it, I guarantee it would have been on the razor's edge of not passing. But as a fitter, that's going to be a challenge. The only thing you have working for you at that point is his driver's going to break. So if he would have started the year in 2022 and said, like, I don't really like this driver, they would have probably worked with him to get the new one as close to as humanly possible over the course of 2 or 3 months to get him into the new driver. Did he have to play it? No. But are they going to continue? What a lot of these contracts will kind of say, I'm paraphrasing, but it's like best efforts for new product, right? But if you can't get it over the finish line, you can't get over the finish line. Like the Callaway's never going to sacrifice a player's performance just to get him into the new driver. And most companies kind of operate the same way. TaylorMade's that way. Titleist is that way. That's kind of
they just put the new head cover on it, on the old driver, right? Put it in their bag.
They're doing the surveys ahead of time. Yeah.
And to be honest, like, in my opinion, I can say this now, it really helps if you get lucky, like we did with, for example, with Paradigm. Like, Callaway came out, I think we won the first 5 events in a row or 6 events in a row, and Rombo just went on an absolute heater. that helped, right? Like it really, really helped that driver was doing so well. But did it, put Callaway financially in sales on this like full tilt, like dominating the whole year? No. I mean, it helps, but
surprising.
yeah, most of the thing behind a tour player these days is brand awareness. That's where they really come into play. Where some of these guys really help, and I can say that with Callaway staff, where they really helped is with the golf ball. So Rombo's first year is the first year that Callaway had a real golf ball, meaning like the My Golf Spice stuff was behind them. They had invested a bunch of stuff in their golf ball platform. They brought in Eric Loper from TaylorMade, who had just come off of making TaylorMade's best ball, which is the TP519. So they took it very seriously. And by the time that Chrome Soft X ball came out that Rombo won with, we had a golf ball. And the fact that he was winning with it, and then Xander won the gold medal, I mean, all of a sudden the golf ball sales really had an uptick because the consumer can see that Titleist isn't the only show in town.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's when Callaway really started to see, and I think I probably helped with that a little. I was doing a ton of golf ball content. I like to think, I'll pat myself on the back, I think I helped sell some golf balls, but the that one I can make a 1-to-1 correlation between tour success and sales, like a real uptick in sales. But a lot of it, when it comes to tour presence and sales, there's not a lot of golfers anymore that sell golf clubs. Arnold Palmer and like Phil sold golf clubs. Tiger sort of sold golf clubs a little bit. Like obviously Scotty Cameron putters, like he built that business on his back. There's certain guys, unicorns, that'll come around, and if they're using it, people will buy it. But these days, because of people like me and because of some of the stuff that's out there in the media right now, people are pretty savvy now. They're not just buying a piece of equipment because somebody has it. They want to know if it's any good for them. So I hope I answered your question. Sorry, it was a long answer.
No, that's great. I need to rewind a little bit though, because I love a good story. I know, you say seekers, the tinkers, whatever. You mentioned like, the driver face was about to cave in. Give us like a story about one of the guys who like you had to have like extra driver heads, in their bag in case they smashed, or like they had to have like, you just knew to prep the truck for that week. Like give us like your best equipment story.
Well, I'm not going to name the player, because I love him.
Sure.
I absolutely love this player, but I'm not going to name his name. But he's not American. I'll say that, and he is a President's cover. But he is a beautiful human being. But he has moments of temper. So I've had 2 instances on the truck where I've shown up on a Monday, and they are building a complete new set for this player because he parking lotted his whole bag and left it there. And we had to kind of put him on a Callaway, kind of put him in the penalty box, like, if this happens again, you owe the truck X amount of dollars, or you owe him a case of wine or something like. But if you met this person and you hung out with him, you're like, there's no way this guy gets this hot, but he does. Like he's just got 1% of his personality that,
loose cannon.
If things aren't going right, he'll turn into a demon, and all of a sudden clubs start flying, and it's a whole thing. But like that to me was always funny. And like this particular player, Callaway has a set of irons that are made by a Japanese forging house, and they're total tour one-offs. They're beautiful. I mean, they're just absolutely stunning irons. But there's not a lot of sets going around, and to get your hands on them, even for a tour player, like it's a special thing. It's like, you have that like one leather jacket in your closet that's like you only wear it special. It's like it's like a set of irons like that. And we're at the Players Championship last year, and I saw that he had those in the bag, and I was like, before you snap these over your knee, call me, because I'm going to take them from you. Like, do not break these.
Yeah.
You can't break them. And he's like, okay, deal. And I shook his hand, like, if you're going to break these, dude, I'm like, you better call me. If you don't, I'm coming after you. But like that's funny good stories like that, like, but we don't have the tour truck is the Callaway trailer, for example. They're our reps. I have to say the reps on that truck. They're not my reps anymore. They're so attuned to what theoretically could happen in the future, that they have backups. They'll send backup irons to a player's house, 2 months before they need them. We have backup, at least 1 or 2 sets of backup wedges on the truck. So if a player needs a new wedge, they just go to the grab bag, grab their wedges, and they're gone. So you don't see a lot of that so much anymore. It's not so much like we have to keep this, the only time you'll ever see that is if the player's going to go off to Europe for 3 or 4 weeks. But then we have the same ecosystem in the UK as well. So it's rinse and repeat once they get across the Atlantic. We have the guys the Callaway truck guys in UK are phenomenal. So they're just as teed up as the US guys are.
Tremendous. So what's the hottest new piece of equipment and why is it the mini driver?
You know what?
That's where I was going.
You're right. The idea of the mini driver right now, I would say center shafted putters and the mini driver are kind of like the widget of the day right now. Like everybody's got a mini driver. And, we made one for Phil, a prototype, in late 2021. And I hated mini drivers. I hated them because at the time, they either spun too much and they were like just a really big 3-wood that didn't go as far, or they didn't spin at all and you were getting driver numbers out of a club that just didn't go as far. Like you couldn't control it. Now, the one that they made for Phil was very Phil because Phil hits up on it. And what I mean by that, like angle of attack's way up. So he hit this thing and hit it straight up in the air and it didn't have any spin. And Phil is very much ball go far player. Like if he sees something going far, he thinks it's the greatest thing ever. So when Callaway started prototyping these new ones, I was like, this is stupid. Why are we getting into this game? TaylorMade has one. It's fine. Why are we doing this? And they just kept telling me like, just wait and see what we do with this one. And I finally hit it and it was long and it spun like, it spun in a good window, and it was the practicality of it. All of a sudden, it started to make perfect sense. And then little by little over the last 6 months, Xander's got one in his bag, and trying to think who else on our staff. Max Grazerman there's a ton of guys. Siwoo Kim has one. Like they start to see now. Cobra has one, PXG has one, TaylorMade has one, Titleist has theirs, but they didn't go all the way with the idea. Callaway has theirs, and they look great. And they all do what they're supposed to do. So like it's if you want to know the reasoning behind why somebody would switch into a mini driver, either you are an absolute idiot with a driver and you can't hit it, or you're so fast that you don't need a 3-wood anymore. And having a second spinny tee option makes a lot of sense. That's who takes advantage of a mini driver. So
good stuff. Now, you brought up Live a little while ago. I'd love to get your take on the current state of the professional game and maybe where you see it going here in the next, 12 months.
Oh, I love Live. Like, I think Live is fantastic. I think, I'll say this off the top. Live is, I'll go back to American politics. Live is kind of like Trump. Like, it's like, it's very polarizing. It's like the media never gave it a chance. Like they were trying to suffocate it and make it disappear as fast as it is. So Live has never seen any sunshine. They've been up against the media storm and the PGA Tour storm since it started. And it was a moral issue. It was like, how dare you take this money from with no reference to the fact that F1 is DP World Tour,
everybody,
iPhones. I mean, you name it, we're surrounded by Saudi money. It's a part of the financial ecosystem of the whole world. And to think that just this little tour that's trying to, see some daylight is terrible because they're taking Saudi money is so naive and so dumb. So Live now as it stands, like people will say that Live ruined professional golf. I don't think it ruined professional golf at all. I think what it is, it exposed the weaknesses of professional golf. And I think what we'll see in 5 years is going to benefit everybody. It's going to benefit the consumer. It's going to benefit, and it's going to take a minute though. It's a startup. So, I think you're starting to see the pivot now with the tour and Live coming together. Like, I think that'll happen. And I think it'll take 18 months to 2 years for everybody to absorb what's happening. But ultimately, like, everybody benefited from Live. Everybody did. And the consumers might say, well, God, we didn't because we don't want to watch professional golf. Well, nobody was really watching professional golf before Live. Like the numbers weren't like through the roof. And what Liv has done, and I'm going to go off on a tangent here, so just give me some rope.
Let him cook.
The whole golf world is learning how to survive without Tiger Woods.
Right.
Like, so every TV deal, every ecosystem is built around Tiger Woods being Tiger Woods at peak flight, right? And nobody stopped to think, what are we going to do when, if this is the Bible, Tiger's Jesus. So what do you do for the last chapters? Like, who's our hero? And you don't have him anymore. Right. Like, he's been gone for years. And everybody, the players, the consumer, everybody has to find. That's why YouTube golf is so amazing now, and the Good Goods and the Bob Does Sports and what Bryson's doing. It's creating an ecosystem for new entertaining parts of golf to come through. And what the tour, I think, whether they'll say this out loud, is that I think they're still reeling with the fact that they can't depend on Tiger 15, 16 weeks a year anymore.
No.
And the only way they're going to get that kind of bolt of energy is if Charlie Woods Mondays into the Cognizant wins and then goes to Augusta and wins. That's the only time you're going to see the PGA Tour at Tiger levels again. And I experienced it at Golf WRX. When I was slow and I needed something to talk about and I needed 200,000 people to read an article, I would put Tiger Woods anything, and all of a sudden the numbers, he was that big of a needle. And he's not that big of a needle anymore because he's not doing Tiger stuff anymore. So the greatest thing that happened to golf in 2019 and the worst thing that happened to golf in the years after was Tiger winning the Masters. So what that did was it gave the whole market hope that we were going to get that for another 5 or 6 years. And without the realization, that was an absolute unicorn, lightning in a bottle, one of a billion shot. And, looking back, if I'm going to Monday morning quarterback Tiger, after he won the Masters, he probably should have just go, okay, guys, I'm done. Like, I just give you this laugh bolt energy, get clever, get awesome. I'm going to go to the Bahamas and I'm going to go drink and hang out and play golf and raise my kids. See ya. Yeah. Like, he would have been doing everybody a favor by doing that, because what he would have been. Well, no, I mean, I understand why he kept playing. I mean, I would have kept playing, but like, if I'm going to.
Do we ever see him on the Champions Tour?
I hope so. I really do.
Me too.
Like, the thing that, like, looking back, if I'm going to unfairly critique what he did, like, he could have just said, like, I've done everything I can for you guys, like, you can't depend on me anymore. He had the clout to say that. You can't use me anymore. I'm going to go off and I'm going to go, like, for example, I'm going to go just work on junior golf. I'm going to go work with the USGA and build up, do this or go do that. But that's not realistic. It's unfair, and I understand that, but that's what we're seeing now is a beautiful thing. I mean, people are taking in golf in completely new ways, and the golf ecosystem now gives schmucks like me a job. Like, traditional golf is kind of going away, and it's opened doors for guys like me to come in. I didn't go to journalism school. I'm not like, I didn't work at the Golf Channel as an intern. Like, I'm just some idiot from Seattle that knows golf equipment really well, and now I'm doing what I'm doing. Like, without the shift in media and the shift of, I can thank Tiger for that too, because Tiger just drew eyeballs, and, we all benefited from what he was doing, but we can't rely on him anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And the whole golf world needs to accept that. Like, he's gone. He's not going back.
Right.
He's a TGL.
Yeah.
And he's fun to watch at TGL, but that's how we're getting him. We're not.
I think TGL is the bridge to the Champions Tour. I think seeing him just having fun and being loose, I think that app actually will open a door for him to go there. Yeah,
if he wants to grow the game, like in the way that he's talking about, the best thing that he can do, and I could say the same thing to Phil, and I'd say it to his face, the best thing you could have done is gone full tilt on the Champions Tour and built that tour up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, you want to create a new product and create a new widget, you could have gone there and made that like Tour 1B. Because obviously the DP World Tour got decimated because of the PGA Tour. All the big purses, all the big players came over to the States and moved to West Palm, and DP World Tour is like half of a tour now.
Yeah.
Where when I was growing up, it was legitimate. Sometimes it was 1A. It was the best tour in the world in some cases. Now it's not even the Korn Ferry Tour anymore.
Yeah. Johnny, I got to ask, we ask every single guest that's on here, as you said in the beginning, Philly-based podcast. What's your experience with Philadelphia golf, the best course you've played? Hopefully you've at least played one.
I have never been to Philadelphia. I have been in your airport. I have never played golf in Philadelphia. I'm obviously going to be there for the Truist this year.
The Truist, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see you there.
Yeah.
Are you going to come early to at least get out, like play a few courses?
I think so. I don't really play when I travel for work, like for tour events. I usually don't bring my sticks, but like, with Jack there and the fact that it's Philadelphia and the time of year it's at, obviously Philadelphia is going to be beautiful that time of year. So
yeah.
And now you got us,
Yeah, now I got you guys. Like there's so many courses. There's so many courses in Philadelphia that I'm
embarrassment of riches is what we call it.
Yep.
All right, let's go the other way with this then. If you were in for a weekend and you could play 2 courses, any of them you could have access to, where are you playing?
Do you need us to feed you some?
By the way, we count Pine Valley as a Philly course. Just
PV,
so you
know.
Yeah. Obviously, Cricket Club, the big one. I'm not a huge golf course dork. Marion would be one.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's 1A. Just because of all the U.S. Opens that have been played there, and it's just it's like Oakmont or the rest of them. It's like one of those destination places you have to play. Yeah. Philly Cricket Club would be another one. Obviously, it's not necessarily close, but like Oakmont's one I've always wanted to play. Rocco's he's so diet because he's from there.
Right.
He rattles off like all these courses in that area that I need to play. And I'm like, well, great. Why don't you set me up? Like, what are we doing here?
Fox Chapel, Longview.
Yeah. Fox Chapel.
Pittsburgh area.
Yeah. Fox Chapel, he said, is amazing.
So we'll have to change that. You got to come out early.
I mean, you're probably an hour and 20-minute flight from Toronto. I know the Detroit flight is quick. So
not even that. Like Toronto to Philadelphia, I actually looked because I had to buy my tickets for Truist. It's like 48 minutes in the air.
It's crazy.
Nothing. Yeah, it's nothing flight.
Well, the other thing we usually ask people is,
I love that you already bought your tickets for Truist. That's incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Like planning in advance.
One of the difference. This is like the corporate bliss is like for Callaway, we had a travel department.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I had Carol, this girl named Carol, who I adore, that when I was booking my flights, I could do it the day before.
Carol was your agent.
She was but she's in house and she handled all of our travel. And there's a girl, it was her and a woman named Gloria Taylor. And I love them to death. I would kill people for these 2 women. But it was so dialed travel wise. Like now that I'm off and I'm kind of off the tee, now it's like, now I'm on Expedia and I kind of have to look at stuff and like the corporate rates aren't the same. And it's like, oh God, this sucks. But like, it's not the same, animal.
Carol and get her back on the payroll for you on the
literally.
I know.
I'm coming back to Philly, but a flight from PBI from West Palm to Philly, like at max used to be like $200, and now it's legit. I think I'm flying back next Thursday, and I think it's like before any upgrades, $400 just for a round trip flight. I'm like, this is silly. What is happening? I'm going from West Palm to Philly. Like,
hey guys, can you hold on for 1 second?
Sure.
Yeah, of course.
Hold on 1 second. Sorry.
All right, Harry. Who do you think he was talking about?
I was thinking Siwoo.
Me too.
Shaking that ass.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking, but who knows? But it's a great story.
I was like, we need to hear something.
D, you weren't on, but he said how he got into Golf WRX. It sounded like me getting into the radio business.
Really?
I basically told him that they're going to fail unless they hire me, and it's kind of what he did.
Yeah. It's like Tom Brady, basically, right? Bringing pizzas, being like, hey, like you got to let me have a shot here. Right. That's awesome. I can't wait to listen back.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Good.
What a job he's got, Moose. I mean, he gets to play with all the equipment.
It's unbelievable.
Boxes just showing up at the house. That was me this morning. Went out to take the dog for a walk, and I'm like, big package from Moose. I'm like, let's go. We got the Philly golf.
Well, Johnny, we'll get you wrapped up. We know you have a lot going
on. I'm good. I had to powwow with the boss of the house. So
I hear you. Well, we usually ask people like who we should have on next, but I think we know that answer. I think it's Rocco, right?
Or Siwoo.
We might need you to throw a text out and vouch for us with Rocco.
Well, okay. So you want to hear a funny Rocco story?
Yes.
So my Gear Dive podcast that I have for WRX, I'd have a bunch of players, and Rocco has always been somebody I've always adored. Like I didn't know him, and it's funny how life works. It's so funny. So like my 3 closest friends that are players were all guests on my Gear Dive podcast. It's Jimmy Walker, Charles Howell, and Rocco Media. They're all like brothers to me now. Like because in this job, like you're friends with a ton of players, but they're still work colleagues. They're not like family friends. Like, you're not calling each other on birthdays and Christmas and stuff.
Right.
Like, but those three for sure. Like, I talk to all of them 4 or 5 times a week. So anyway, long story longer, I emailed Rocco's agent and said, "Hey, this is who I am, and I want to have Rocco on the podcast." And I got crickets, no response. And then he had an Instagram at the time, and there was an email connection on his Instagram. It was like some random account. So I emailed and said, "Hey, this is who I am. I want to do this podcast, whatever." Crickets. 2 months later, I get an email back from this account. And it's like, "Sorry, we never checked this. We were just about ready to delete this email." And it was his wife, Jess. And she's like, "Rocco would definitely want to do your show. Just let us know when. This is his phone number," or whatever. So I have him on the show. And the thing that him and I have in common is I've been in recovery for almost 11 years, and he had just been recently sober. So obviously, guys like him, Chris Kirk, guys like that, we've always connected over sobriety. So that was always kind of an outside of golf thing that you could connect on. So we had this great show and really got along, and we kept talking, because once somebody's on your podcast, the text messages start going back. You kind of become friends with these people. You spend an hour and a half on the phone with them, and you get to know each other. So he just became somebody he would send me videos of him screwing around, and I would post them on the WRX social feed or whatever. So when I got to Callaway, we were talking all the time, and I'm like, "Bro, you need a social, like a real social media account. Like, yours is dog crap. Like, it makes no sense. It's just a bunch of pictures, and it's mindless, and it sucks. So he's like, "All right, kid, like, help me." So I'm like, "I'm deleting your old account, and we're starting a new one." I was sitting in traffic in LA, like sitting there. So I literally created a Gmail account, a Gmail address. We created a new account called Rocco Golf. And that was in like September of 2022. He started at 0. I think he's got 110,000 followers now. So I've been running that. And so if you read the captions, you'll know it's me. So I gave him a laundry list of what I need. He sends me the videos. I post the videos. I write the caption, and he goes in and battles with people in the comments. And awesome. I think he's got the second biggest account on the Champions Tour, and it's just a 62-year-old like Italian guy that can't hit it out of his shadow. And we have so much fun with this thing. And like I said, if I'm like, "Rocco, if we can get this to 50,000 followers, we're killing it." We're at like 110,000. So like, we just laugh. Awesome. It's like, this is ridiculous. And for waste management,
shooting a million this week, but always a great time.
That's me. That's me.
That's so funny, because I run faxes stuff, and everyone's always like, "Hey," and then I'm like, "No, that's me acting like I'm a 62-year-old man."
Right. But I don't speak in Rocco. I speak. So my friends that didn't know it was me, like my buddies at Callaway, some of the tour players that follow him, were like, "Do you follow Rocco's account?" I'm like, "Yeah." And like, his captions sound very much like you. And I'm like, "Oh, well, that's because I wrote it." And they're like, "I knew it." So I stayed with him for a week, him and his family, for waste management. And we have so much fun. We go in his garage and nerd out. He's got a little build. I mean, it's just two dork idiots just sitting there. But watching golf with Rocco on TV is an out-of-body experience. Like, I can't tell you the language. I'm not going to tell you who he's saying about what, but like, he goes full, especially on slow play. He loses his mind. And it is like, I have a couple of videos on my phone of him just going, like, standing in front of the TV like a dog barking at it. It is so funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he is a wild animal, that guy. Like, if you want to guess, like, you want to have some fun, get Rocco. Rocco is he is a one-of-one human being.
Hook it up.
I love it.
I will. Yeah.
Well, his name has come up a few times already, and he and I are members at the same club here in the Philadelphia area. Jack Hirsch, what have you learned thus far working day to day with Jack?
He's so. How do I say this? I see a lot of myself in Jack. Totally different personalities, obviously. Like, he's very East Coast, like Philadelphia kid.
Penn State.
Yeah, I mean, he's like, he's a Seinfeld episode. He's like Kramer, George, and Jerry and like Kenny Banya wrapped into like one human being. So the thing I love about Jack, he's obviously a great writer, and I'm always skeptical. Like, somebody like me, like, I come in a situation like this. I'm like, do any of these guys actually know what they're doing? Like, what am I dealing with here? Like, I don't even know who these people are. And I started reading his articles, and he is a hustler. He works his butt off. He's an absolute writing machine. He's very knowledgeable. He loves it. So my goal with him is to turn him into my tour equipment beat writer, chasing stories down and being that person that covers the tour. 'Cause I obviously don't have time to do it anymore. But he is a very talented young kid. And with him, he's just going to need mentoring, because by the time he's 20 something, 27, 28 years old, by the time he's 35, he could be the best at what he does. As far as tour equipment, covering the tour from an equipment standpoint, he could, if I have my way with him, he will be the best of the best, and he's got the chops to do it. And the thing I love about him is he is an entrepreneurial, doesn't like to sit around, doesn't wait for ideas to hit him in the forehead. He's just a go, 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 go. And, at that age group, no disrespect to the other 25, 30-year-olds out in the world, he is an old school thinking workhorse. Like, unfortunately in that demographic, you don't see a lot of that, but he is a go-getter, man. Like, that kid can run. And so yeah, like if I have my way with him, he'll be big SHIT by the time he's 35. Like, he'll be the guy.
Love it.
So
love it. Well, Johnny, thank you for coming on. We're huge fans of obviously golf.com, a lot of the guys over there, and happy to see you there and thriving, and excited to see what comes. Hopefully maybe we could talk again around the Truist when you're here, and meet in person, because we'll definitely be out there too. But congratulations on the new venture, and continued success. Thanks for coming on, man.
We're all going to play golf together before the Truist. So
yes, you let us know.
We'll play some golf first.
We got a guy here or there.
So do that. Yeah. Thanks so much.
Well, thanks for having me on. It was great, guys. I appreciate it.
Cool. Thanks, Johnny. All right, let's take a quick break, and we will be right back. All right, welcome back to Swing It and Ding It, the great Johnny Wunder.
Yeah, great get, Moose.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That was awesome. Great conversation.
Yeah, he's got stories. I mean, I think guys like that, they see those guys in a different light, right? Yeah. Like they, once they're out of that truck, you get the polished version, but
right,
you see guys that are like tinkering with their equipment or wanting stuff perfect, or I love the guys that just don't care like that. It's so funny how different it is out there for people.
Yeah, and he's describing watching golf with Rocco Media. You don't know how many times I've wished that I could watch a tour event, like just 1 hour with a tour pro.
Harry, it's so funny you say that, because the moment he said that, I'm like, I'm going to go over with fact. Like, he's covering these next two events, but I'm like, I'm going to get there for like the AP or something and be like, I've watched golf with him, but I've never recorded it. And I was like, wait, I'm going to go like sit down with a glass of tequila and just like get content.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right, well, let's talk about the Genesis Open. Ludwig Oberg. I mean, we knew this guy was coming.
Yep.
I mean, he had a little setback when he lost, 15 pounds, and he was sick at the same place. But he starts the day 2 back. At the turn, he's 4 back of Maverick McNeely, I think by 12 still. We didn't see a shot on TV for over an hour of this guy.
Right.
And then, Maverick has 8 birdies and 11 holes. So
I'm
obviously
still disgruntled about that. I had math in my one time.
Yeah. The attention's there, right? And he needs the birdie, 6'9" putt, 6'9" putt, and gets it done. He said he lost 10 pounds in 2 days.
Yeah.
And he had the 36-hole lead last time he was here. Gets his second PGA Tour win, and it looks like this guy is coming on strong and should be a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was my alternate, by the way. So the trend continues. But I was rooting for Danielle with the one and done with Maverick, man. He started out so hot, man, making 5-6 birdies in a row on the front, whatever it was. And 8 under through 11 holes. And then he made a bogey on 14, which totally stopped his momentum. And you talk about Ludwig, though. I mean, I could watch that guy play golf all day because he's just, there's no BS. He just gets up to the ball and just hits. Oh, yeah, she loves him. Yeah. I think he might have replaced Adam Scott.
I changed the channel.
Yeah, I think, my wife I think he's replaced Adam. Adam's too old for her. So, But man, he makes that 6'9" birdie putt at the last hole to avoid a playoff. I was hoping for a playoff.
Me too.
There was so much good
on.
drama. I mean, you had Scotty got his nose in there too. And I think I was more impressed with watching Scotty and the way he played, because he didn't have near his A game. He's probably got his C game, and he's just grinding it out, man, with his short game.
Do you see his grip? Do you see they watch him warming up? I see him like barely holding the club with his right hand. I don't know if it's because of the injury. Like it looks like he had to change the way he holds the golf club. And they didn't really bring it up, but I'm watching him like warm up. I'm like, it looked like he was barely on the club with his right hand.
That's like one of the biggest things he focuses on is the grip, apparently.
It looked strange. It looked different to me. And I don't know if because he said he has scar tissue built up there.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's still doing what he does with a hand injury is wild.
And the fact that none of us, I mean, I wasn't surprised. I don't know if you were, but when you see him creeping up the leaderboard, you're like, okay,
yep,
here it comes.
Like,
here he comes.
You're not like, oh shit, like, this person's part of me. And you're not like, oh, this person's making a move. You're just like, oh, it's Scotty doing Scotty things.
Yeah, he was hitting his driver left all day. He was in the left rough, it seemed like every hole.
Like,
and there he is.
More right.
Yeah, exactly right. But his short game is just unbelievable, and he's not even the greatest putter. We know that.
No.
His short game, his chipping and his pitching is just magical. So it was a lot of fun. It was a good tournament.
It was. But I was with you, Harry. I was like, come on, give me a playoff. I mean, I wanted to see, obviously Mav because I had him, but if I didn't.
And also
have
Denny
Mav,
McCarthy. We love Denny McCarthy. And here
God.
he is. He and Rogers are both going for their first ever win. You'd love to see that. And it's amazing
Danielle.
what Sunday does.
And
Danielle.
Denny plays the West Coast so well. What's
He
that?
does.
Danielle, you need to tell Denny when they come on, they win.
He's going to win.
The reason why he hasn't won is because he hasn't come. I mean, ask Austin, like Maverick, just tell him, dude, you want to get your first win? Come on, swing it and ding. It's so simple. So simple.
But it's amazing what Sunday does, to players. Both he and Rogers 1 under. I mean, they played good golf. They just couldn't put it together for a big round, which is what it takes.
Yeah.
Well, Moose just shared the recipe, so it looks like I got some work to do.
Yeah, you got some work. All right. Well, while you're working and while you're looking at recipes, let's talk about the tea.
Ooh, let's get into some tea. We'll start.
The tea's been hot. The tea's been hot, Harry. The tea's been hot lately.
Hot tea.
Josh Allen tea really spilled all over the internet, and we're happy for it.
And we are. We like that.
Yeah.
Well, let's start out light. Like I said, Golf Digest says the average handicap index is for a male. What do you guys think it is?
20.
Average index 20. Harry.
18.
14.2.
Oh, wow.
Which didn't make sense for me. I'm like, wait, so it's from the USGA, but I was like, we have some friends over and I was talking to Adam and he's like, well, wait, he goes, so I'm like average, but he goes, most guys can't break 100. How does that work? But for the female, I'm above average. The female is 28.7. So I just thought that was a little interesting. Put that out there, maybe make some of our listeners feel better if they're possibly above average. Where do you guys fall on that? Are you above, below average?
I have been below average my entire life, basically at everything.
I'm right around average. I hover. I go back and forth.
Moose, he's like, I'm slightly above average.
I go below, I go above, I go way above, I go.
Well, you asked below. Johnny Wunder about the mini driver. Did he convince you to get one or to?
I'm already. I'm already thinking.
Oh, it's already bought.
Oh, okay. I was like, the order has been placed.
I want to go. I want to go hit some.
Get fitted.
I want to get fitted for it. Nice. I think for me, I think it's.
You could do some damage with one of those.
Yeah, for sure. Magnolia Lane, Amen Corner, Green Jackets, pimento cheese sandwiches, the back nine on Sunday, azaleas, full bloom, guys. It means one thing. 49 days away from the Masters. Are we getting excited for this?
Oh, yes.
How are we feeling?
Always. 7 weeks away. I mean, I have a countdown clock. I've had ever since.
Instead of the Christmas, countdown to Christmas, it's countdown to the Masters in the Mays house.
As soon as the final putt drops on Sunday, I get the countdown for the next year going.
I love that.
Yeah.
Best.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Moose, you're talking about me getting some guests. You may need to get a guest for us. Less than a week until season 3 of Full Swing debuts. And this season is, quote, promised to be packed with drama. We have Scotty's historic run, Rory's emotional highs and lows. Harry will love that.
Yes.
Bryson's rise to a fan favorite. We have Minwoo and Minji chasing Olympic history. Sahith in there. Wyndham, Gary Woodland bouncing back from his brain tumor, Camilo in there. There's tons of topics that are all over the place. Do you guys watch the trailer? Do you see any of that?
I didn't see it yet. I actually had a call with Chad Mumm yesterday.
Though. There we go. See, Moose is on it. Yeah.
Well, and not just that. I have a very unique opportunity. You know, I am in the entertainment business.
Nice.
Above average.
Yeah, here we go.
I may or may not have access to a all-time great actor who's big in the world of golf, who has a band that I'm trying to help coordinate with the Creator Classic of closing that night with that band playing out at Cricket Club. So I'm working on some stuff with Chad. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe get him on. Let's talk season 3 too. So amongst other things. For the first time in over 8 years, Jon Rahm has dropped out of the top 50 in official world golf rankings. He chose the money over the rankings, what some people say. But guys, what I want to know from you is the world golf ranking system broken? TUGR. I don't know if you guys know about this, but I think it's a more accurate ranking system. If we take a look at the top 10, we have in first, Scotty Scheffler, 2, Xander, 3, Jon Rahm, 4, Rory, 5, Colin, 6, Ludwig, 7, Tyrrell Hatton, 8, Cantlay, 9, Joaquin, and 10, Hideki. So a little bit more accurate than if we're looking at the,
OWGR. Yeah.
Might be a little broken.
I think the OWGR has needed fixing for quite a while.
Where was Bryson on that?
He's not in the top 10 on that other one. Yeah.
He's not. But you know what? Do I still have this up?
He's got to be close.
That's weird.
Yeah.
The OWGR.
I just pulled up the top 10, but let's see. I want to see where.
Yeah, I mean, I get how hard it is to figure this out, but there has to be something.
It's a little bit better, right? JT 11, Bryson's 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So 11 JT, 12 Brooks. Bryson, 13 Tommy. Brooksy is. I'm still scrolling.
Yeah.
Denny 26, Akshay 28.
Yeah,
since winning.
Brooks is 39.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, the OWGR has needed tweaking for a while, and the defections to live have just put a big spotlight on how bad it is.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys saw the TUGR before, but I was like, I came across this when I was doing some digging, like seeing if there's any other style ranking. I'm like, okay, this is they are quote the most accurate rankings in advanced analytics in golf. So I don't know if that's true or if that's just like a tagline that ChatGPT came up for them. We'll see. Johnny was mentioning it a little bit when Harry asked him about Liv, but Rory thinks it's time for everyone to move on and welcome back Liv players. A little bit of a flip-flop from what we heard from Rory in the way beginning.
That's what he does. Yeah.
Adam Scott, who's now on the tour board, he understands why some players might still be upset and obviously says it's a complicated process with a lot of moving parts. The tour wants reunification, but obviously it's not just their call. So no decision is going to make everybody happy. But we talked about it last week saying, like, we want Brooksy back. We want Bryson back. Harry's welcoming them with open arms. So
yeah, the guys that have won major championships, Rahm, Cam Smith, I'll take Tyrrell Hatton back too. There's only about 6, 7, 8 of the guys that we care about, right, on Liv that we'd really want back. Waco, Neiman, there's a handful of guys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
probably a dozen, I would say.
Do we really care if Taylor Gooch plays another tease it up again on the
and Ian Poulter and Graham McDowell? No.
Right.
Yeah. So let Harry choose who he wants to come back, and we'll get those rankings up. It'll be good. Give us a call.
I'll come out with my own damn rankings.
The Harry Mays ranking system, the most accurate in the world. All right, so we talked about that Josh Allen bit kind of going viral, which was cool because we like people who are just outside of pro golfers and outside of us being, normal golfers, just having that sickness, right? That's what we called it. I found another story that I thought was pretty cool. It was Michael Jordan's birthday the other day. So Michael Jordan doesn't take losing lightly on the court or on the course. The day before his legendary 63-point playoff game against the Celtics in 1986, Jordan lost a round of golf and some cash to Danny Ainge. According to Ainge, MJ walked off the course saying, "Tell DJ I got something for him tomorrow." The next night, he dropped a playoff record of 63 points on Boston, proving again that, I'll turn a little loss into some motivation because I'm Michael Jordan.
Dennis Johnson, the point guard for the Celtics back in the day.
And I'm pretty sure, Harry, when I was doing some research, that DJ had like 5 fouls or 4 fouls in the first 5 minutes because Jordan was just on him like white on rice.
Couldn't handle him.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That's
Another
great.
just like fun little golf story.
How old is Jordan? How old is Michael?
Oh, actually,
He's the original golf sicko.
Yeah,
literally.
About it.
Yeah,
Tell
I
me
think
about it.
did he just turn let's see, 62.
62. Okay.
His birthday was on the 17th. So there were some
Okay.
like topics trending around him. And then I was like, he's a golf sicko. Let's find some stories. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. Like just, they played 36 holes, I think. And then he said, Danny's getting in the car. He's like, yeah, I got something for DJ tomorrow. And then just careers it.
Dropped
What
63.
a guy.
Yeah.
Just casually, you know?
Love it.
Yeah.
All right.
That's the end
Good
of the
stuff. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, we move on to Mexico, Harry.
Yeah.
The Mexico Open, just 3 in the top 40. A little bit of a letdown after the past couple of weeks, but
4 of the top 50. Yep.
Harry didn't have to send me a reminder text to get my pick in.
No,
although I did it at like whatever time, either last night or this morning, so I don't even know who I chose.
I had to text Slash and Brace though this morning, and Brace didn't get his in.
I didn't want to be on that list. I was like, get
Yeah.
it together, D. You don't need Harry texting you. But honestly, I don't even know what time I did. I don't know who I have. It was kind of a blind. Oh, Aaron Ryan. Okay.
Batea actually is still
Akshay.
still the favorite.
Well,
as we go
Harry
into
always
this.
says him and palm trees are,
Yeah.
one.
But Jake Knapp, who's the winner last year,
defending,
he's way down the board at 4,000.
But
And how about what's going on with the Hoygaards? Rasmus is way up higher than Nikolai.
You took Nikolai.
I did. I don't
Yeah.
know. I had a feeling about
Yeah,
that.
well,
Aaron
Rasmus
Ryan.
played horribly the week before.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Nikolai, good spot.
Who'd you
for the
take, Harry?
Hoygaards. I took Harry Hall.
Oh,
Yeah.
he was trending for a little bit. He was hot. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, do you want to talk about the course here in Mexico, Harry?
Sure.
Brought to us by our friends at the Penn Club on 2nd. This is the course, of course.
I mean, Rom won this tournament back in 2022. Finau won it in 23, and you mentioned Jake Knapp. So, some good players have won on this golf course. Greg Norman designed par 71, 7,436 yards. A little bit different design. There's 4 par 5s, 1 on the front and 3 on the back. So you get a lot of drama and a lot of birdies made on the back 9 on Sunday. Number 6, 12, 14, and 18 are par 5s, and then 5 par 3s, 5, 9, 11, 13, and 17. And there's a drivable par 4, which is the 7th hole. That's 297 yards long, and they could probably move the tees up and make it even a little bit shorter. But paspalum grass everywhere, fairways, rough, and the greens. So the ball's going to sit in that fairway like it's sitting on a mat. And it's a second shot golf course because the fairways are, a half a mile wide, so everybody can hit the fairway. You better get those irons close and drop a lot of putts because they go low to win this tournament. The 93 bunkers and some waste areas and lots of water in play. And if the wind is up, it can play havoc with these guys. So should be fun. Remember last year, Jake Knapp and Sammy Valimaki were going at it in the final group, mano a mano, and it looked like a pillow fight for the first 12, 13 holes. Like neither guy wanted to win the tournament. They were making bogeys and, pars were a good score. They were lucky that somebody from, another group didn't, pull up and catch him. But Jake Knapp ended up getting the win, and we all heard about him being a bouncer about 600 times during the broadcast.
Oh, that was actually
his
funny.
big biceps and all this kind of stuff. So
built like a linebacker. Yeah.
yeah. So it should be fun. So Greg Norman golf courses are usually fun.
There's some interesting when we see the line here. Something like Rogers T6 last year, decent number. Van Rooyen, who had T8 last year at 5,500. CT Pan, who was a T3 last year, 4,500, and even Grillo, who is streaky. He was a T33 last year, but he's 11,000. There's some value out there for this one. I know it's more of a bomber's paradise, but there's definitely some value when you see the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead because mine's unrelated.
I took Bo Hostler in a top 10 at plus 300. Harry Hall, I said he's my one and done.
He's 1 under right now.
Is he?
Through 4.
Top 10 at plus 275. I took him in a matchup over Kevin Yu. And Fishburne, I liked his game from a couple of weeks ago. I forget, it might have been at the Sony, but moves those irons left to right, right to left. Minus 125 over Svensson. And I also took Thorbjornsen, our guy Kevin Roy, and Highsmith in top 20s.
Okay.
So.
Be nice for Kev.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He can move it out there.
Oh yeah. So I missed this in the tee. I'd taken a screenshot when I seen it a couple days ago. It's just Justin Leonard couldn't be a nicer guy, and he got his a win on the Champions Tour. I thought it was pretty
It's
cool.
His first one.
Yeah, and it was awesome. His wife posted a video of like him coming home and like opening the gate, and they had like a bunch of family friends, all of his kids, and champagne. And he got out and he gets a trophy out of the back of the trunk and holds it up and goes over to his wife. It was pretty cool. But they shared his daily practice routine at age 52. Wakes up at 5:30 in the morning, meditates for 30 minutes, walks his 4 dogs, an hour workout, eats a late breakfast, practices for 4 to 5 hours, then returns home.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. But then I seen him post on his personal Instagram. He's like, this just gives you kind of like the run through of golf. And, you know, he's not a big social guy. He doesn't post a ton, but I thought this was kind of cool. He like made these little graphics and like wrote what each one was. And he goes, day 1, felt like I was treading water until I birdied the last 3 holes. Day 2, one of those when everything felt easy, except number 17. Final round, +1 through 10 holes, then have to chip out at 11, make 12 foot for par, then birdie 5 of the last 8 to win, ! And then just a photo of him with the trophy. So I love that recap. I was like, that's so good. Like, I feel like it's like, you know, B, when he finishes around, he calls me, takes me through each thing. And I'm like, Justin just put that in a bunch of photos saying like day 1, treading water, day 2. Like, so I thought that was kind of cool, but awesome. Like, he's such a good guy. And to see him get his first win and kind of share a little bit of the insights of what it felt like, I thought was awesome. So congrats to Justin.
15 under par. He was 4 shots clear of Billy Andrade, who finished in second. Now, that's his first win, as you mentioned, Danielle. He has 12 wins on the PGA Tour. I did a little digging on his career because I knew he won the Open Championship and I knew he won the Players. He won the Players twice.
Oh, yeah.
And the Open Championship in his 12 wins. So.
Yeah, and he has that famous Ryder Cup up at Brookline, like that chip in. Yeah. So, great guy.
Good win.
All right, good stuff, guys. Thanks again to Johnny Wunder for popping on with us, and we'll be back next week. Thanks for listening.